I kind of know where you live.
Man, I dodged it like the Matrix. Just this one burned, that one burned. I don't know. God bless me. Nothing. No problem. I'm just like avoiding it. Even my friends, I posted, hey, I got a truck. If you need some help. Nobody in my, I don't know how. I know someone's going to come up to me tomorrow and tell me, hey, this affected me. But so far, I've been blessed to avoid it. And you're the closest one because at your house, something protected, good construction probably, but yeah. No, because concrete does not burn at that low a temp. I mean, it's got to be
all right. So listen,
hot.
Okay, everybody. There's rarely such a thing as a concrete house, although I shared pictures and stories of a house that was on PCH. Now, so here's the thing. I was a former builder, so when I see people building things in an unorthodox and different way, I take note of it, right? Same way you would do with MMA technique, you know what I mean? And there was a house, so PCH was mostly all burned with a couple examples of homes that made it. And there was one I was very curious about because I've talked to friends like Bill Simmons, and he was like, it's burnt all the way down PCH. And I was like, there was a building, and Dawson remembers me talking about it. And I even took pictures of it and sent it maybe to Joe, probably to Chris before that. It's in a computer somewhere, of a triple or double lot wide in the middle of PCH. Now, that would be where Nobu, kind of where Nobu is, but they built a modern house. And they did formed, poured concrete, monolith slab all the way up the front and all the way around the place. I mean, just formed. You'll see the holes in it. Those are where the form ties are. They put them through the plywood so it doesn't blow out the forms. And then they pump concrete. And you can just see it going all the way up about 2.5, 3 stories. All 4 corners. They poured this whole building in place, rebar. It's a bomb shelter. And I assume they did it at the time because PCH, that's it. Yeah, I took pictures of it. PCH, we got to tighten up on it a little. It's very loud. And so it gets real quiet when you pour these concrete walls in front versus stucco and 2x4s or wood cladding or lath or whatever, windows and everything else. But this is wildly unorthodox, just full slabs of concrete.
Yeah, I can't imagine why it would be unorthodox here in California where things burn all the time. I'm imagining a 3D printed concrete structures.
Well, maybe there'll be a lot more of that. But this stuff it's very expensive to build this way, is what I would say. It's what you do is now you can see that the forms are about 8 feet, and then there's a break, and then there's another form, and it's about 8 feet. Look, if you guys want to know everything, a piece of plywood is 4 foot wide and 8 foot tall. So when you start seeing forms and stuff, it's all pieces of plywood. That's where you see the lines are, 4 foot wide, 8 foot tall. So what they do is they take plywood, and they do a front side and a back side, and they make it like a foot thick, and they put these wires with little nuts on it, little threaded pieces. Those are formed ties, so they can pump concrete into it, not blow it out. You feel me? Then they put tons of rebar in it, and then they pump it, but they leave the rebar running wild at the top, so they tie the next set of rebar into it and put the next set of plywood forms on it and pump the next set. Anyway, this house remained. Because you couldn't burn this. You could fly one of the planes that hit one of the twin towers into this thing, and it would be fine. So these people built their house like the little piggy that built the house out of bricks and not out of straw or what have you. So there's a way to do it. The new world order will be nothing on the exterior of the house that can catch on fire. All the wood, all the trim, all the eaves, all that stuff. None of that.
Yeah, there was a house in Orange County, a big house in Orange County that survived wildfires because of the construction.
Yeah. Now, so I was marveling at this place the whole time they're building it, and they finished this build, and this is $100 million house. They finished this build 8 months before the fire. So I was like, oh my God, they spent 5 years building this house, and then if they just finished it and the fire swept through, but it remained, and some of it is the building. Well, that's a lot of it. The building techniques, and then a lot of it's just weird luck of the draw. But what people say all the time is like the house is cement on the outside. They don't mean cement. They mean stucco.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think stucco might have saved your house. Yeah, it rubbed your knuckles, but guess what? It's a high temperature burn. You know.
So here's how stucco works, just for everybody. They frame the house with wood. The wood frame. Then they take lath, which is called K-lath, which is a tar paper with metal chicken wire type grid on it, and they staple it. They nail it to the outside of the house. Then the Mexican comes along, and he's got his
trowel,
yeah, and he's got his hawk,
yeah,
and he mixed up his stucco, and he uses a notch trowel, and he puts a notch.
He ices the cake.
He ices the cake, but it's got lines all over it because he uses a trowel that's notched.
Yep.
And it's all notchy, so it'll take the next one. Then he waits for that one to dry. Then he puts the next coat on. That's called the brown coat. Notch coat, brown coat.
Yep.
Third coat's the color coat.
Yeah.
What color is your stucco?
Yeah.
That one's thin. Now, when you're done, you got about 1.1 inches of cement product all around your house.
High temperature,
Yeah, and if it's going into aluminum windows or metal windows and there's no eaves hanging over with TNG and, a 2x6 eaves hanging over the top or whatever, and fascia and that kind of stuff made out of a 2x6, then there's really not that much to burn.
I know some of those letters.
So that's what they're shooting for. I mean, that's what shall be. Now, like my condo has sprinklers in it.
Yeah.
Not on it, but in it.
Anything caught inside, they would have took care of it.
Yes.
But what about the neighbors, bud? I mean, I guess you haven't been back, so
I haven't been back.
Yeah.
I have not been back. And the question is when are we going back? I don't know. I'm running out of socks, bro. I'm running out of stuff to wear.
Bro, and you got to get off my couch, really.
Drew offered up his pool house to me about 20 minutes ago, so that's
nice.
That's good. Also, in this, Joe's got a few of the tweets, but somebody a day or so ago just, I think, innocently tweeted me and said, "What's going on with the Newman cars? I hope the collection is safe." Now, I think that's a reasonable thing to ask. Maybe not a reasonable thing to ask, or maybe it would have been insensitive day one. I mean, not to me, but for others. But once everyone is safe and the structure's in place,
yeah,
then I think it makes sense to say, what about the Newman car collection? Because they're one of one. And look, if you had an original couple of pages from the Declaration of Independence, I think it'd be reasonable to ask 4 or 5 days after the fire, how are the pages from the Declaration of Independence doing?
Yeah.
How's the Shroud of Turin doing?
Yeah, we all care.
How's the Magna Carta doing that you own? You have a correspondence letters from Davy Crockett.
Yeah.
Are those okay? I think that would be a reasonable thing to ask 5 days in.
Your original Child's Play Chucky doll.
Yes. So what I get is Timothy Cody says to me, "Hope your Newman car collection is okay. An update would be appreciated." So I'm sitting in my Vegas hotel room, and I thought, oh, yeah, people think the collection may be, because all of Los Angeles is on fire, and the collection was formerly in Los Angeles. So I then wrote back, Joe will find this somewhere. I then wrote back, no, I did not write that back. All right, if we can get it together here, people. We knew this day was coming for us. It's funny, we do the planning of this stuff, but then when we try it, there's always,
But I just
always a little
I just
confusion.
was checking to see if you were still watching Earthquake while the fire was going on and just hanging out.
All right, so then I have a response, and my response is they are all safe in a Reno museum. To the person who wanted to know if the collection was okay and he wanted an update. So I wrote back later that day, probably moments later, they are all safe. And then I got this response from a woman who was reading this correspondence. And that's the one where we say, or we do not have what we just saw, or do we? Or is it? Are the computers slow, or are we slow, or how does this work? She wrote, because vintage cars are your biggest concern right now. I think she was being sarcastic, but that was a jab at me and Timothy, who asked. I'm so fucking tired of bitches doing this. Vintage cars are not my biggest concern right now. I was asked by somebody, how's it going? And it's been long enough that I know everyone around me is safe, including myself. So I thought it would be okay to answer this person who asked about cars. By the way, vintage cars, at least my vintage cars, are a pretty big concern to me. And they are a bigger concern during fires because that would have a higher chance of losing them. But anyway, I wrote back, as I wrote to everyone during COVID, yes, hero, that's my number one concern. Yes, that's all first off, bitch, I didn't bring it up. Somebody brought it up days after the fire and just asked what the status was. And I simply replied, they're in Reno, so don't worry about it. That's it. I didn't say they were the jewel in the crown of the Carolla monarchy, or that's all I cared about, or I haven't inquired about my kids, but I have inquired about the cars. I just said they were fine and in Reno. And also, first off, Shamazila? Schmeezel is her name. I have no idea what your raison d'etre is. I don't know what you do. I don't know what your plan is, but what the fuck is becoming your life? I have no fucking idea who these people are. What is wrong with you? Somebody inquired about a collection I have, and I told the person they were safe and in one place. I didn't do a soliloquy on it. I didn't talk about the insurance. I didn't talk about the value. I didn't talk about loving them more than my children or my dog. I just said they're fine. And then you had to take a jab. You have to take a jab I've been wearing the same fucking socks for 4 days, and I'm living out of a garbage bag in a shitty hotel in Burbank. Do you need to take the jab, or can I just answer the person
Vintage
who went
cars
about
are
the
your
car?
biggest concern right now?
And listen, bitch, you don't care about vintage cars. Good. I don't ask about your butt plug collection. I stay out of it. Just stay out of it. This is a person that wanted to know, and I gave them an answer. Why does it even involve you? But anyway, so then I wrote back, yes, hero, that's my number one concern, even though I've never fucking spoken about it until I was asked. And then she wrote back to, I think she wrote back to the person who asked the question. Am I right?
I think that's what
Joe?
she was aiming at. You were just like caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, she was replying to Timothy.
Okay.
But,
and then I got
but to
caught.
both of you.
I got caught in the collateral, and then she wrote back to Timothy.
We've got to throw up the exchange. We can kind of scroll through. She replied to Timothy a lot. She replied to a lot of people who replied to the thread.
Oh, okay. So what did she write when she was replying?
Schmooze starts in a negative space, somebody said, and she said, how's this for negativity? Go suck a giant dick, loser. God, I feel elated now. Positivity is invigorating.
I really like this lady.
That kind of turned the corner on her,
I
too.
got her back on I'm back on her side.
Look. Okay, can we just break this down, Mayhem?
Yeah. I'm into it. Game footage.
In general, I have to tell people all the time, I didn't start any of this. You put yourself, you entered this thing. You didn't need to do it. I've had many an argument, especially with women, where I just went, I didn't ask for any of this.
Yeah.
I was just trying to fix this or do this or whatever this. There's no reason for you, even no one reached out to you. Somebody, let's put it to you this way, a number of days after the fire, or at least after the imminent threat of the fire had passed my particular area, family, friends, and so on and so forth, somebody asked the very logical question of, what about, look, someone asked William Shatner, what's going on with the horses? Are the horses okay? Why? He has horses. So they want to know, how are the horses? Yeah. All right. I have horses power in terms of race cars. Now you can go, well, one is one of God's creatures. The other, well, listen, they're one of one. If they perish, there'll never be another. And they have a value, but they have a historical value to them as well. They're Paul Newman's race cars. They're one of one. It's perfectly logical for somebody to inquire, how are they? Did they perish in the fire? Okay. So they inquired, and then I said, they're in Reno. They're safe. And thanks. Okay. There is no reason for you to enter this conversation.
But she need to inject herself into it so that she could be the center of attention and then have a Twitter war. I guess they call it an X war now. But yeah, she's in there responding to every comment, it looks like. So this is all about her.
There's a ton of her.
Great.
She's sort of shitting on you for how much you're concerned, but then she replies to 100 different people about this.
Yeah.
I'm also, okay, I got a lot of thoughts. I have the other thought are the people who you bring something up and they go, why are you obsessed with this? It's like, no obsession. Somebody just asked how the cars were doing, and I said they're doing good because they're not here. That person thought the cars were in L.A. because they were in L.A. for 15 or 20 years. And then recently they moved to Reno where there is no fire. So I thought I would inform them of that. But she wants to do battle. But you know what I love about these people? It's a woman thing, mostly. They then, at some point, they pour a glass of white wine and they explain to their friends what's going on in the world, what's with all the stress. I can't fucking believe it. You can't even turn on the TV or pick up the phone anymore without somebody fucking attacking you. Fuck Elon for buying Twitter because he's letting all this hate speak. It's like, bitch, you did it. You inserted yourself into this and then started all of it. And then at some point.
See, you've never seen this, I don't think.
I don't.
A very toxic chick, man. Toxic chicks that are really like to argue. This is just sparring for her. They're like, she's just like getting her arguments down for whatever dumb schlub starts banging her.
All right. So what else does she have to say? She told one guy to eat a dick.
At one point she says, we get it. You like butting into somebody. This whole thing is her butting in on a conversation she wasn't a part of.
Well, number one, all of this stuff is all projection. I'm now realizing that every fucking nutty broad I speak to, every politician I hear from, it's all projection. They just project and then they get involved, and then here we are. So
someone defends you by saying people do this thing called multitasking, insinuating you can be concerned about the fire and whatever, and also reply to people about your cars. And she says,
multitasking is when you beat off while changing a tire, not yapping on social media about vintage cars while thousands of homes and loved ones into a devastating wildfire. But thanks for chiming in, asshole. I'm telling you, I dated that girl.
Wait a second.
She's married to a brilliant, handsome Navy vet.
Well, read that again slowly, Joe. You read about, well, I'll read it. Multitasking is when you beat off while changing a tire. I don't know where she went to finishing school. I like where her head's at, but I've changed a lot of tires. And I've done a lot of beating off. But I've never made a peanut butter
I
cup.
have.
You have?
I have, yeah.
You beat off while changing a tire?
Yeah, I changed the tire. It's taken so long to get to pick me up that I just, threw a nice beat. Yeah.
You know, it's a good joke. I come by and I go, got the space saver out? And you go, no, it's a full-size tire. And I go, I'm talking about your cock. All right, so multitasking is when you beat off while changing a tire. Not yapping on social media about vintage cars while thousands lose their homes and loved ones in a devastating wildfire. But thanks for chiming in, asshole. Okay, couple things. How much of this is just making themselves heroes? Because all I got during COVID was people going, I have an autistic brother who I take care of, and I don't believe it's a lot of me, like I'm going to take a stand. I'm doing something for these people. Yapping in the media about your vintage cars. Also, so there's a lot of stuff where I get asked questions and I answer them. I don't bring a lot of stuff up, but I will answer them. But that's not me yapping in the media about my vintage cars, as much as I'd love yapping in the media about my vintage cars. But also, here's another thing. My cars being safe in Reno and me talking about my cars has nothing to do with anyone who lost their house. This is another chick think thing, which is like somehow me talking about Paul Newman's cars has emptied the aquifers, and that's why the fire hydrants have no pressure. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with my cars. I could either talk exclusively about vintage cars or never talk about vintage cars ever again, and it would not change by 0.1% anything that has happened to anyone in their building, their loved ones, their schools, or their churches. So there is no anything to do. Now, if somebody said, Adam, you are a you're a paramedic, and you're part of the Paramedic Reserve Corps, and we need you to come out to the Palisades. And I said, I can't. I'm busy talking about my vintage cars. Then maybe that would have some effect. But considering I'm just sitting in a hotel in Vegas and I'm a comedian and a podcaster, then no. How many responses did she give? And then why? Here's the other thing, too, I want to say to everyone. What happened that you have this kind of energy for everything? Because this is really something you should have zero energy for if in your her. Why so much energy?
No, what do you mean? She's sitting there on the toilet texting this for an hour and a half. She's watching Love is Blind Germany. You know, she's like multitasking. She's jerking off, changing the tire.
Nobody pays attention to her in real life.
Nah, yeah, I bet she does. I bet she's annoying to everyone. I'm telling you. I know this chick. I'm
The
pretty sure
easiest way to determine how many times she replied would be going back in her Twitter and counting. But I have been scrolling from the top of her Twitter down for a solid 90 seconds, and I'm not through yesterday.
Yeah,
She
nice.
spends her whole day replying to people on Twitter.
Yeah, she has a work from home job.
I get when you get into a scrum with someone on Twitter and it's something you feel passionate about and you blame Newsom for the fire hydrants being empty and this other person defends Newsom. This guy, there's no meat on this bone. It's just a car collection that I have that people ask where it is, and I said it's in Reno. That's all.
See, but again, you're attributing your wisdom to this lady. This lady has a narrow focus, so every comment at her was a chance for her to fire back. See, you guys are not understanding, but she just spent the whole evening. She's like, she had her dance card booked all night with Twitter.
I wonder how her Navy SEAL hero husband feels about this, because this got to be the opposite of how this guy.
She
rolls.
is also she tweets a lot about COVID. In her bio, it says prosecute Fauci. And then recently, even after that reply to you, she replied to a different tweet from you saying, "Can you go one podcast without bringing up COVID?" So she has prosecute Fauci in her bio and wants you to stop talking about COVID. So she's mentally ill.
Okay. All right. And by the way, nobody hates Fauci more than me, bitch. Come on. All right.
She can't even see allies. That's how much she likes to fight.
We need to take a break. Alan Hamill. Now, Alan, of course, you guys know as long time husband to Suzanne Summers. I know Alan Hamill as a talk show host and a guy I used to watch on TV. My supermarket was Alpha Beta. Alpha Beta was like poor man's Lucky's. Like picture your low end market.
Yeah.
You know, we had the hierarchy. You had Gelson's at the top, Ralph's, Safeway in the middle.
Food Lion, Winn-Dixie, Piggly Wiggly for me.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so why don't we, you know, it's funny because you could do a kind of trifecta hierarchy with everything. Like you could go, like me growing up, Levi's, Tough Skins underneath, JCPenney Super Denim at the bottom.
Dickies, Levi's, or 501. And then there was just like ghetto pants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Schwinn,
Yeah.
Raleigh, Huffy.
Oh,
That's it. So, by the way, I was at the bottom of all the lists. So I'm telling you, I don't need to talk about your family, your origin, what your dad did for a living. You tell me Levi's, Schwinn, Gelson's. I'm like, okay, pretty fucking good childhood.
Yeah.
You tell me Super Denim, Huffy, and Alpha Beta.
Individual
I'm like,
economic indicators.
Yes, I only need those three. This is the bike. You had a Schwinn, you had Levi's, and you rode it over to the Gelson's. You're doing okay for yourself. Yeah, so I was Huffy, Alpha Beta, Super Denim, at JCPenney. So Alan Hamill did the commercials for
Alpha Beta.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I knew him.
He was personal
He's
to
a
you.
Canadian guy. Anyway, he's a friend. And he told me the last time we went out to dinner in Malibu, because he loves Malibu, he did 25 minutes on the Coastal Commission and trying to rebuild and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of people speculating, are we going to be able to expedite all this?
And he's the guy who never got his house rebuilt, so he didn't even have it burned down.
Yeah. We got him in an Alpha Beta commercial just because it's fun.
Way.
Alpha Beta was in North Hollywood, in a bad part of North Hollywood, and my dad lived in a crappy apartment in North Hollywood, and we used to shop there, and my dad would buy like 99-cent steaks, put them on a frying pan with no fucking handle. My dad's frying pan handle. Here's another thing. Okay. My family would never buy a piece of furniture or a pan, a pot or pan or anything like that. They would just get recycled. They would get an old sofa and tuck a sheet into it. I didn't know you could buy new stuff. So my dad's old shitty pans, they heat cycled. And after they heat cycled, the plastic handle would bust off because it would heat cycle too many times. But we didn't throw it away or buy a new one. You just had to use a towel or your sleeve or a T-shirt to put the pan. And my dad he was the only full-blooded Italian that never owned olive oil. He didn't know what olive oil was. He didn't know what salt, he didn't season it. He just took this 99-cent steak that he got at Alpha Beta, and he just throw it in this pan and just turn the flame on and just burn on both sides and go, okay, then there's your dinner. So the Alpha Beta is where we used to walk to in North Hollywood. Here's Alan Hamill, by the way.
Hi, I'm Alan Hamill at an Alpha Beta market, and with me is...
Hisai Beamit.
Isai, how long have you been shopping at Alpha Beta?
Almost 10 years.
Why?
because I see blue stickers all over the store.
Are these the things that you buy? Have you been saving some
Little
money?
English would be
That's
nice.
really nice. Do you have a friend you'd like to tell?
Yes.
Go ahead, right out there.
Okay. Keiko-san, いらっしゃい. Alpha Beta.
Oh,
Yes,
out there. Alpha Beta
that's
for
cute.
extra reduced prices.
that's the Alan Hamill I grew up watching, and later married Suzanne Summers, and we hung out. We'd go to Alan. I'd be invited to Alan's house. He's in Palm Springs now, and a great guy. 89 years old, or still going strong. But I want to hear his story of the Coastal Commission. So he's gonna chime in later. Take a quick break. Got a lot more. The Coastal Commission is like 8 or 9 super woke, youngish, lefty environmental douchebags who don't live anywhere near the coast and hate anyone who has enough money to live near the coast. And they're there, they say, to protect the coastline, but they're really there just to tell everyone to fuck off who
They don't
tries to
live
do
there?
everything. I don't
figured you gotta live there.
I don't think they could afford to live near the coast in LA. But there was a tape we played several months ago, which is Elon Musk wanted to launch at Cape whatever, Fort whatever, up Ventura County, up the coast from the fires, probably about 45, 50 miles toward San Francisco, toward the north. And they don't like Elon's tweets. They don't like who he's friends with or whatever it is, so they weren't going to let him launch, which is to say it's all politics. It has nothing to do with launching. It has everything to do with, I don't like that guy because he's rich and he's white and he's friends with Trump. So that's who they are, and that's essentially why Alan Hamill doesn't get to rebuild. So just so you know, and again, I'm hoping, well, not hoping, I kind of like it, but you're not supposed to say this stuff out loud. If you're a black fire lady, you're not supposed to make fun of men who get stuck in a burning home saying it's your fault. You can get drunk and think that, and you can tell it to your girlfriends, but you can't say it into a camera lens. And if you're the Coastal Commission, you're not supposed to say when you're mic'd up, we're going to tell Elon to go pound sand because we don't like his politics. You're not supposed to say that because that's not supposed to factor into your decision. Your decision is how much does this impact the coastline.
Well, we're in a new era of tribal politics.
Right, but I think people are going to start shutting the fuck up.
Yeah.
What I mean is at some point we're going to elect a new lesbian fire chief. And then someone's going to say, hey, lesbian fire chief, the gay parade's coming down the street. Why don't you pick up the gay flag and put your fireman uniform on and walk up and down, and then we'll film you high-fiving the bears, the trannies, and the he-she's. And then that person's going to have to think, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do that because in 3 years, when the entire city burns down and people are calling me incompetent, I don't want that footage running behind the news story.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, we have the Coastal Commission saying whether they're going to let Elon launch or not.
This is the lesbian?
That could be a chick.
You all work, but I do share some concern from the Commissioner Wilson brought up because of the fact that, last year we did see, the owner of Starlink shut down Starlink when one of our allies was going to attack one of our adversaries.
That's not true, by the way. He's not a commissioner. He was just testifying. So left-wing radicals go out.
Well, I guess that'll be Hugh Hewitt there, but I don't know. We probably have a better clip of that doesn't just talk about Starlink, but talks about what I was talking about, which is his texts and tweets and things. But you can take a little time and find a good clip, is what I'm saying. And it'll always be the clip I'm talking about. So if I don't say Starlink, then probably not.
That's the one we had in our history about Elon
No,
and
we
Coastal
had
Commission.
No, we didn't have Hugh Hewitt doing this breakdown, or maybe we did. Maybe it's the second. Maybe it's the second
clip.
after
the
Hugh
ladies,
Hewitt.
yeah.
We got to the ladies a little bit
the
later.
ladies argumenting. Yeah, there's like
Maybe it's the one after this is what you can do. And you can also scrub forward if you want and find that. So we'll see if we can find that. It's also salad days for the sign language guys. The sign language guys, I think it's a California thing.
You always have a guy on the side busting American Sign Language off to the side.
Yes. Which I think it's more of a Democrat than a Republican thing. I think it exists on both sides, but if it's a California Democrat thing, that guy is not only in the frame, but he's banging elbows with whoever's giving the speech. Like, he is up in their shit. Like, they're right there. And the guy is kind of stealing the show, because while the talking head stiff fire chief lady's just droning on, this guy's going full. He looks like the Australian breakdancing chick.
I know.
Like, he's in full
ray gun.
He's in ray gun. He's in full ray gun mode. And I end up watching that guy, not really listening. Also, again, you can just put the closed caption on your TV and read everything the person is saying. Mm-hmm. But the purists say that's not American Sign.
Yeah.
American Sign is its own language.
And they have to do facial expressions, and you have to watch the whole person's body. I get it. If I was deaf and like knew American Sign Language, and it's like up to the minute, kind of, I would want to know immediately, spoke to in my language. But I get it too. We got closed caption. We got predictive closed captions.
You can read verbatim what the person is saying via closed captioning.
But it's a delay, so you don't see it immediately.
Listen, it's not the biggest thing in the world. It's just funny to me that these guys have had. First, COVID was the greatest thing that ever happened to these guys. And then part two of these coastal fires, where these guys are just animated, going nuts. I would also argue that it is, while I like enthusiasm and I like that you're doing your job with vigor, you can't steal focus.
But you have to. The ASL is like, the reason it's so funny to us, because we don't know the language, so it looks like they're mugging and blah, but they have to like perform, the facial expressions. I know. It's a very strange
how about,
language.
Can we do the box thing where they're down on the bottom eighth or something, rather than banging elbows with Newsom, making fucking crazy faces and pulling?
He's just in a truck, in a Sprinter van, doing the pop lock.
You're pulling a lot of focus.
Yeah.
All right, so we have some of that. We also have Coastal Commission if we have it. You can put it on my screen if we have. You can write if we have it, Byron, or whomever's pulling it. Here it is. Let's see.
Elon Musk is hopping about the country,
Gretchen
spewing
Newsom.
and tweeting political
All right, started from the
falsehoods
beginning. Sorry from the whatever. Go ahead. There we go.
Right now, Elon Musk is hopping about the country, spewing and tweeting political falsehoods and attacking FEMA while claiming his desire to help the hurricane victims.
Okay, so anybody, you don't think they're corrupt politically? So that's who you're dealing with the Coastal Commission.
The apolitical nature under which you all work.
Apolitical, except for they're totally politicized. And that's why we don't have desalination plants or anything. We don't have anything because these people won't let us do it. But it's basically 8 retards holding millions of people hostage with their politicized policies, which I think is going to have to go.
Looks like it. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think that everyone is now like fomenting the dissonance. Like everyone's getting angry at the word Democrat now. And people are starting to catch hold of that idea.
Well,
in California, I should say, because
they just need to reel it in and go back to the Bill Clinton era of Democrat, and then it'll be fine.
But it sounds like we need like sweeping deregulation for a lot of industries to get the California back to a growth status instead of people leaving.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can do it, because it's hard for them to do it. Mike August was telling me they're not going to do it. They can't help themselves in doing it. I said, well, Mike, they got real gougy when it came to the film and TV industry, and the film and TV industry just left. They just went to Canada, and they went to Atlanta, and they went to New Mexico.
Exactly.
They went to Prague. They just got up and left. So at some point, the LA city council and the mayor and everyone went, you know what? We're a little bit greedy. So we're going to lower the taxes and lower the regulations. So come on back. So they know how to backtrack when people are leaving.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm saying. Now, they usually wait till people leave in order to backtrack and try to get them back. But I think they're going to have to adapt because, and so let's really kind of see if we can be consistent here. Regulation is good to a degree, and then it has to stop. Because once it keeps going, it becomes burdensome, is what I'm saying. So it's like when Jimmy and Adam Perry Lang opened a restaurant on the West Side, I was asking Adam, how's the takeout business going? And he said, we're not open for the sandwich and the takeout business, which is going to be some of their business. And I said, why not? He said, well, because by the window where we slide the window open to hand people their sandwiches, we don't have our blower defector thing, not defector, but deter thing blowing so a fly can't blow in. You know what I mean? So we don't have that signed off on yet, so we can't hand people sandwiches, so we can't do it. So I said, yeah, but there's a guy 8 feet in front of you on the sidewalk selling ghetto dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
That he's making up on top of a shopping cart with a propane tank on it. That guy's fine. Yeah, that guy's fine. And right before I got here, right before the fire started, I was telling you guys at the Equinox I was at, the sauna was too cold because they couldn't turn it up higher by law because the sensor was above it. And the snack bar wasn't open because they didn't see because they over-regulate, and that's what it. Now, saying there's a health inspector, okay, and saying that the mayonnaise can't get into the 80 degrees because it'll go bad and people get food poisoning, fine. All cities have that. All states have that. They're rules. I get it. When you make a freeway overpass, it's here's what number rebar we're using, and here's how far it's going to be spaced out, and here's the concrete we're using.
Standards.
And fine. Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. But then we have to stop at some point, and Los Angeles doesn't stop, and that's when it becomes burdensome. I never forget, and I've had many, so I've been doing battles with inspectors my entire adult life.
Yeah.
And first when I was in the business, and then later on when I was just doing stuff for myself. But like famously, I was installing a dishwasher in my home. And the guy came in, the inspector. I was trying to get the final on the kitchen. And the guy came in and he goes, there's no breather. The breather is that weird little 3-inch round snorkel thing that sits on top of every counter that used to be on every counter for the dishwasher. You'd hear it when it'd be filling or draining. Yeah. It's like a breather, a breather. And it used to be on every one. If you think about it, you don't see them anymore, but it was a part of our childhood, that weird chrome breather
I thought
thing.
It was new designs don't need that.
It was it was basically so the waste water didn't cross over and get into the clean dishes or whatever it was. Okay. So that's how it used to be. Now this is like 2001, maybe 2000. So it hasn't crossed over yet. Now it's crossed over. So I said, the guy came in, was going to give my final. And he goes, where's your breather? And I said, well, you know what? I got one of these Fisher Paykel high-end new dishwashers. And if you look at the manual, page 32A, it's installation with the breather. And then page 32B is installation with the hoop of the air gap loop thing or whatever. But you don't have to have a hole in the top of your countertop. Where I, by the way, had a soap dispenser. And this guy said, we got to have a breather. And I said, well, the people that manufacture this product say you can install it without a breather, and here it is. And it would be a liability if there was a problem from the manufacturer. And the guy goes, you got to have a breather. And I said, well, I don't want a breather. I don't want to drill a hole in the countertop and put this stupid 3-inch snorkel thing. But also, these guys invented a dishwasher that doesn't require a breather, and they're smarter than we are because they're from Europe, and this thing's like $1,200. And he said, give me the manual. I'll take it in to my supervisor, and I'll have him look at it.
Is Coastal Commission lesbians all huddled around your
my breather, my manual. So I said, yeah, good. Show him page 32B, breather list installation. Just show it to him. Guy came back, and a couple days later, he goes, yeah, we looked at it. He wants a breather. I said, okay, come back tomorrow. I'm going to schedule it for tomorrow. So, okay. I never forget it. I got under the fucking sink and I undid the soap dispenser I had there. I then took a breather and like sat it on there and pulled a hose. We affectionately call it jerry-rigging now. We used to call it something else on the job site. Put the hose up. Remember turning the hose clamp and having the flathead blade screwdriver slide off and cut my knuckle and just go, hooked it all up. Guy comes back next day, sees the breather. I go, you give me a final? Goes, okay, I'll give you the final. Gives me the final. As the guy was pulling out of my driveway, I was underneath the goddamn thing, undoing the breather to throw it out, to put the soap dispenser back in, to do it the other way. That's what we're trying to avoid. Not the part where you put rebar in your concrete, and not the part where you don't use ocean water to mix with the concrete and deteriorate the concrete. None of that. Just the stuff that doesn't make sense. Yeah. That's all. Which we have a lot of. Speaking of that, where's my toilet?
It's in Nevada. I'm just waiting to someone to pick it up. Rudy, somebody pick it up. You need me to go out there? I got a truck.
I got a truck too. I want my urinal sink.
Yeah.
That they will not ship to California.
Wait, why are you confessing to crimes against the state of California right now?
First off, they can all suck my dick. I've been doing this for 1,000,000 years. They won't ship. If it's an exhaust system for your car, if it's a urinal that has a sink above it, if it's laminated glass versus tempered glass or vice versa, if it's a flueless gas fireplace or whatever it is, it's always 49 states, not California. You have to send it to somebody else in Nevada, and they have to truck it in. So your dad has my urinal.
Yep. Urinal sink is en route, I guess. I don't know. Somebody's like, look, my dad said this thing's weighed 200 pounds. If I was a weaker man, I couldn't have dragged it into the garage. So
we had it sent to your dad.
Yeah.
Shit, I drove in from Nevada yesterday.
I know. And I forgot to tell you.
Well, when Rudy, who's out there, comes this way.
He already, I wouldn't even mention him, but he already said he'd do it. So I'm waiting on him to bring it out here.
All right. So my point is either this thing is safe or it's not safe. It can't just be unsafe in one state. Everything can't just be unsafe in one state and fine in every other state.
I never even asked you, what's the reason that it's illegal in California?
Illegal in California can mean a lot of different things. Like I said, you order stuff, especially if you do building, they'll say ships anywhere in the United States, and then they'll go, except California. Why? Because we have a bunch of coastal commission bitches who sit around and just fucking make rules. That's all they do. It's all they know how to do. And we're going to have to undo it. This Some are more specific. They have to do with like the environment. A lot of to do with the environment. Lots of cancer causing benzene, whatever. Every single gas pump in California has a sticker that says if you're pregnant. Nobody pays any attention to it. They still pump their own gas. But this is all we do is put warning labels on everything and or say you can't ship here. So it's pathetic, but these are the times we're living in. So they're going to have to roll some of that shit back and get it under control in order to expedite this. Otherwise, they are going to have a mass exodus of their constituency. These are their donors. Like, okay, I'll put it to you this way. When Democratic presidential hopeful du jour rolls into town and they have their big star-studded fundraising party, it is often in Malibu. It is often in Santa Monica. It is often in the Palisades. Like, this is their constituency, and their constituency is going to move to Nashville, and they're never coming back if you fuck with them. So be prepared.
No, but I figure right now, like, we made the Taliban. Like, it's going to be a bunch of people who are well off and have influence moving back, trying to figure out how to do the regulation. You're going to have the Hamill effect where they're too angry. It's maybe things will change now because enough people with influence will be angry.
It'd be nice. And let's not forget that the Japanese tried this on us during World War II.
Oh, to start fires with the balloons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sent. This is 1940s technology.
Yeah, they just sent up balloons with fire inside them, right?
1940s technology. Japanese sent up balloons to go into the airstream, the Gulf Stream or whatever, fly over the Pacific Northwest, have the balloons come down with incendiary bombs and fire and timers, altitude timers, land and start a forest fire, and we would be busy putting the forest fire out instead of fighting the Japanese.
Little did they know they just needed a couple meth heads.
Yeah. All right, Alan Hamill, the great Alan Hamill, is going to join us via Zoom. We'll take a quick break. Come back with Alan right after this. Dan Summers, Alan Hamill has joined us from, I'm guessing, Palm Springs area, right, Alan?
Right, Palm Springs it is. It's really weird because I'm looking at the TV and watching all the terrible things that are happening to our beautiful states. And then I turn my head to the right and the sky is blue and the sun is shining and there's no wind. And then I go back to the craziness and it's like, that's what it is. It's craziness.
I agree.
But bless. It's just all crazy.
Well, they say, I was thinking about this the other day, may you live in interesting times. And that's not fallen short for me. I realize these are interesting times, and you can call them tragic. You can call them anything you want, but they're interesting, man. There's a lot going on all at once. But the story, okay, let me just encapsulate me. I've been railing against this stuff ever since they put a microphone in front of me because of my former profession, because I was a builder and I had to deal with this all the time in LA, in California. And I would scream at everyone all the time, you're living in your rent control apartment in Santa Monica. You are doing nothing. You like this. You want more of this. Go out into the world, buy some land, try to develop it, hang your own shingle, and then tell me how much you like this, because I don't think you're going to like it. Bill Maher, as I've said many times, tried to do solar about 3 or 4 years ago at his pad, and now he's been turned out because he realizes what the government is doing and how they're way over their skis. So when Alan and Suzanne at the time started speaking to me about trying to rebuild in their beloved Malibu, I, of course, was all ears because this is something I'd been thinking about and talking about for many years. But walk us through it. First off, your old home was where exactly, and what year was your fire?
I'm not good at dates, But it feels like our fire was probably 12 to 15 years ago. And we had been living in Malibu, I think, well over 20 years. And we were living in a little beach shack, literally. It was a shack. However, it was our favorite home of all the homes we've built and renovated and lived in, all those grand estates. This little shack was our favorite place. It was only 1,900 square feet, and I was permitted to build an additional 10% with no problems at all. That's the law. And I started with the Coastal Commission, and then I stopped going to those meetings, and I just had my architect go, and they just don't want you to do anything.
That was 2007, I'm being told the fire was from. Yeah.
Okay. So how many years ago was that?
Wow, it's 18 years now, but 17 and change probably. Well, time flies when you're arguing with the Coastal Commission.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they have little rules like you can add 10%, but you have to have a covered parking or something. They tack everything on.
Okay, parking, okay? So I'm sitting with the architect, who was a fancy architect from Montecito, and he had built 2 houses for us in the past. And we're talking to I guess it was planning, I don't know what the title of the department was at Malibu City Hall. But we're talking to this woman who probably was in her 20s, but she looked like she was maybe 13 or 14 years old. And she didn't like us. The chemistry was awful. I mean, I went in there and shook hands and smiled and how are you and blah, blah, blah. I got nothing from her.
Right.
And the kind of date you want to take home early. And so she started talking about how many cars we would need indoor parking for. And the architect said, so you're going to eat up at least half the house parking cars. And he said, is there an appeal process? And she said, yes, there is. She said, I can tell you how to appeal this. And then this is the evil that came out of her mouth. She said, I'm entitled to respond to whatever you're complaining about relative to the appeal process, but I'm very busy, so it's going to take me 1 year to respond. In other words, nothing's going to happen with your permit for at least another year. And that's when we thought, you know what? Let's just get out of here. This is irritating. We have a beautiful family. We're happy. We have great things that we do for a living. And I don't want to have to deal with this person anymore. And that was it. We decided, okay, we're going to sell the land, which we did. And instead, we built our dream home in Palm Springs. Not that we didn't have one before, but this was the dream home.
Yeah. So, you have a 27-year-old chick with a 4-year degree who's making $37,000 a year, chasing off high income, high tax paying. And also, having Suzanne Summers and Alan Hamill in your neighborhood is a good thing. It's a selling point for others who are, it's a general good, lots of money, and also the revenue. The revenue of paying all the tradespeople that have to come in and do all the work. And the thing that's always funny with the city is, what I want to scream is, I'm not asking you to build me a beach house. I'm asking you to let me pay for my own house on my own property. I had the same thing. And what happens is the relationship can become adversarial, which is a weird thing. And you go in there and you find yourself like putting on a bow tie and fixing your hair and going, hi, nice to see you. My name is Alan Hamill. Perhaps you've seen my Alpha Beta commercials from the 70s. Hey, somebody's lost weight, because even though she has all the power over you, she's like that kid.
Right.
She's like the kid from the Twilight Zone commercial Twilight Zone show who could wish you out into the cornfield. I remember I had to pull a permit in Glendale several years ago for a warehouse that I bought to build a mezzanine area on it. And there was like a 23-year-old woman behind the counter at Plan Check. And I said, well, I bought this warehouse and I want to build this mezzanine. And she said, what are you planning on doing with the warehouse? And I said, well, I think I'm going to store some cars in there. And she said, they might let you do that. And I thought, they might let me do what I want to do on the property that I purchased and I'm paying insane taxes on. That's what it's gotten down to. Some sort of weird adversarial. You know the feeling. You walk in and you feel like you're walking into court and you're being accused of murder. And you're like, okay, I'm going to keep the judge happy. I'll make the bailiff happy. I don't want to piss off the attorneys. Like you walk in, you put your hat in your hand and you go, oh, hi. If it's not too much trouble, could I give you a whole bunch of money and then you could let me do stuff on my own property? Which is what it turns into, which is weird, right?
I know. You know where I had no problem at all? We bought a bunch of land. We lived or we worked in Vegas for 10 years from 1980 to 1990. And we didn't want to live in Vegas. We didn't want to live in a hotel. So we bought a bunch of land 25 miles northwest of town in the middle of nowhere. We were the only property out there. And I hired a contractor. And he said, okay, when do you want to be in? I said, Christmas. He said, Christmas? He said, that's 3.5 months from now. I said, right. He said, this is a 6,000 square foot authentic adobe. He said, we have to order the Vigas and Latias, from New Mexico. And we have to find someone who understands adobe plaster to bring them in with the trade. And I said, yeah, okay. He said, you'll never finish by Christmas. I said, okay. Tell every trade that I will be on site every day at 3:00 and I'll pay them in cash. We were in there by Christmas time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, they were coming out on weekends with their wives and their kids, and the kids were running crazy in the desert. The wives sat around, smoking and drinking coffee, and the plumbers plumbed and the electricians did the electricity, and we got the place built whammo, and that was it.
It is.
And no problem with permits or anything else. It was beautiful.
So how long was your odyssey with the Coastal Commission and the permitting process?
Years. Yeah. I stopped going. It was years. It was just these people who have this power over you. And, I only wish that they would hire people in the planning department in Malibu who lived in Malibu. Because these people don't live in Malibu, and I think they were pissed off that they couldn't live in Malibu. I don't know what their problem was. They were just these angry young people. And I'm not used to being around angry young people. And it was just this terrible mood. As soon as we walked into the crummy little office with stuff all over the place, totally disorganized, and we made eye contact, I thought, oh, this is not going to be good. And it wasn't. It wasn't. She doesn't give a shit.
Well,
really,
it is. There is an issue which is sort of global, which I've definitely experienced going through security at LAX, which is, here comes Rich Whitey. Well, now it's payback time. And it's like, I'm just trying to get to Denver to do a show. That's all. I'm sorry for what happened. I'm sorry for the past. I didn't abandon your family when you were 9. This has nothing to do with me, but I do happen to be 6'2" and heterosexual and white, and I do have money, but you shouldn't take it out on me. And I think there's a lot of that. I think we're taking a lot of women who have a lot of issues with their dads, and we're putting them as gatekeepers in all these positions. And now it's payback time, except for we don't have a history. I just want to rebuild my house or get to Denver to do a show. It's a sociological dynamic which is going on as we speak, and no one wants to say anything about it because it always comes across as racist or sexist or
I got
xenophobic
jumped for being a white boy in the hood. Like,
so you
I can
understand.
identify.
So Alan, couple questions. Do you know what became of the house that was built on your property in this newest fire?
The answer is I don't know for sure. I heard that it had burned down. They built we had almost 200 feet of ocean front. And as you know, most beach houses in Malibu have, between 35 and maybe 65 feet of ocean front. And we wanted to build this little shack on this huge piece of property we owned. And, it just wasn't going to happen. I've run into this, it seems to be people who put on uniforms, okay?
Yes.
Now, I'm getting away from the building thing, but like the TSA, we're going through TSA in Toronto, and the guy who's sitting there looking at the screen, looking at the bags going through the X-ray machine, and he gets someone else to sit in the chair, and he comes over to me, and he said, would you mind if I, and then he puts Suzanne's back to go through the machine. Oh, we saw something. We have to look at it again, which was BS. And he said, would you mind would you take a picture of Miss Summers and myself? And I said, sure, happy to do that. And I was so angry with this guy because we're running close to missing the flight. Mm-hmm. And he purposely put her bag through so that he could come out and say, can I take the picture? So I said, sure, we can do that. So he gave me his camera. I took the picture, and then I turned off the camera, and I grabbed Suzanne's bag, and off we went. And when he looked at the picture, it had no heads. that was retributive justice. And the other thing was in Germany. We're going through TSA in Frankfurt, and the guy goes through my bag, and he pulls out a bottle of wine called the President's Wine, which we got from Prime Minister Netanyahu on our visit in Israel. And he said, you can't take this wine. He said, only, you know the rules? I said, yeah, I do. So I said, hand me the bottle. So he hands me the bottle. I take my finger, I push the cork down into the bottle, and I start chug-a-lugging the wine.
I love it.
Okay. Now, Suzanne is standing next to me, giving me the, I can't believe, why do you always do that? I can't.
There's all
That's right. So I chug-a-lugged half the wine, and I handed it back to the guy, and he starts screaming at some other guy, and the people who were waiting in line applauded me. Okay. I wish we had some video from that. It was wonderful. And, because I knew they were going to drink my wine for dinner. I just knew it.
Yeah.
They're taking my wine away. You're going to, this stupid American has, brought us a wonderful bottle of wine.
Do you suspect they're going to fast track and streamline these rebuilds? Because, if it's one person or a couple of people, they can kind of deal with it. But once they get Fran Drescher pissed off and she starts screaming into a microphone and there's a chorus of celebrities and high rollers that are attacking the mayor and the city council and the governor, they'll crack instantaneously because they'll do whatever's politically expedient. So I'm assuming they're going to crack and they're going to expedite this stuff, right?
They have to.
I'm covering on the news. I'm covering on the news today that Gavin Newsom issued an executive order to streamline the rebuilding after the fires.
Was your home right around the colonies?
No, it was about half a mile further into Malibu Road. It was about halfway through Malibu Road.
So closer to the pier or further out?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't close to the pier.
It was further out. It was more towards Zuma.
Yeah.
But
it was right. Like in very close to central Malibu.
And so, last couple questions, Alan. How's your dock? I know Suzanne Summers is getting a dock, as she should have 10 docks. How's that process going for you?
Well, right now, you mean our documentary?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're in the middle of it right now. I have been memorializing every moment of our family since the '60s, when I was, shooting little 3-minute pieces of film, and then I went to video as soon as that was made available. So I have hundreds and hundreds of hours totally dedicated to the family. From the time the kids were like 5, 6, 7. I mean, the kids now are in their late 50s and early 60s, which is pretty weird having kids in their 60s.
Yeah.
And so I'm in charge of screening, because I didn't want anything that was a little too personal to be available, for the documentary. But the nuggets I'm finding are wonderful. And I sit there for hours, not every day, but most days, looking at all of this. And I get very emotional with some of it. But it's wonderful. And what I'm going to do, we're digitizing everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to put it into some kind of digital box when it's all done. And only the immediate family will have access to it. And it's going to be available for generations of Hamels and Summers down the road. And one of the reasons I started this was because I never met my grandparents. They were killed by Hitler. And I thought I would have loved to have heard them talk or laugh or watch them eat. I've got those post pictures that people used to take in the early 1900s, and that's all I have. So I thought, I'm going to make sure that this family is memorialized going forward. And so that's basically what I'm doing. And it's a pleasurable task, and it's exhausting. When I finish at the end of the day and I lay down to have a little rest, well, it happened. I was supposed to go out for New Year's Eve, and I ate dinner at home at 5 o'clock, and it was too early to go out. I was going to go to Stone Eagle, and it was too early to take off for New Year's Eve. So I started watching the movie, and next thing I knew, I was awakened by what sounded like a war zone, guys yelling and bullhorns and sirens screaming and bells going off and explosions, etc. And I thought, my God, what's going on? And it turned out that I had slept through New Year's, and it was my neighbors setting off their fireworks. That was the war zone.
Last question, Alan. You're quite a ladies' man, a man of passion. And I know Suzanne said, don't mope when I'm gone. I'd like you to get out there, have fun, date, be with somebody. Are you dating right now?
Kind of. She said to me, I don't want you to mope around. I want you to live your life. And so I only moped around for a year. And then I thought, okay, Suzanne would approve of this. Actually, Suzanne would have approved it, no moping around at all. And so I didn't want to I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to go out in public with one woman. I didn't want to be. Alan's found a new woman in his life, so instead I invited 2. And I've had several dates with 2 women, and you know what? I really like it. There's something about having 2 women laugh at my stupid jokes, and so I've kind of done that, and I'm going to segue into singles. And there are several women I've known for many, many years. Many years. I mean, like 30, 40 years. And who are really good women. I really like them a lot. They lead purposeful lives, and so I am going to start dating. But there's no marriage in my future at all, and it's just going to be we're removing the guardrails, the cultural guardrails, the way you're supposed to behave, and I'm going to free myself and just have fun for the cocktail hour of my life, however long that is. Yeah. So the answer is the answer is yes. I crave companionship. I only live alone in my entire life for 2 weeks. Hated it. I was bored myself. And so I really like companionship a lot. Will I ever live with somebody? Probably not. But I am going to spend a lot of time with other people, not just women, probably mostly women. I love women. I get along better with women than I do with men. I've only had one night out with the boys. I hated it. You know, when I talk to some of my buddies and they say, "Hey, how about them Niners?" And I go, "What? What Niners?"
Right.
Niners. Yeah. So I can talk to women about their health, about bioidentical hormones and DHEA and pregnenolone and progesterone. And
Well,
so
listen,
it's great.
Last time I saw Alan, we did go out alone, and we did have a couple martinis and a steak, and I hope we can recreate that real soon.
Okay, me too.
Maybe we'll come out to you in Palm Springs, or when
That'd be great.
Malibu's extinguished, you can come out to us. But I hope to see you very soon, my friend.
Yeah, always great talking with you, and even better seeing you. So let's do that rather than just talking about it. I'll take charge.
Take charge. Get it on the calendar. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Great,
okay.
Alan Hamill.
Cool.
Thank you so much, man. My friend.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. So
bless, sir.
Try to rebuild. Couldn't take it anymore. Couldn't take especially the attitude. That's the part that you don't realize. You come in there. And it's sort of like, here's what it would feel like. It would feel like if somebody stole your cow. You bought a cow, you took care of a cow, and then they stole it, right?
Yeah.
And then somebody said to you, you've got to go in there, bring your checkbook, and convince them to give you your cow back. And you went, well, it is my cow. And they stole my cow. And you went, okay. The person went, look, drop the attitude. Because if you go in with that attitude, you're never getting your cow back. Bring your checkbook and go be nice. And maybe they'll let you have your cow back.
What's the solution here? Because all I hear
the
is
solution is a huge fire or a huge war.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that then course correct things.
It's exactly what happened. Yeah.
All right. We need to take a quick break. We'll do the news right after that. Weird, unquilted, single ply bullshit toilet paper they have.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes you pull into a hotel or something and it's bad times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saving some money. Squeezing money with a single ply that you have to like roll over your hand 6 times.
Should we say this? You shouldn't be able to sell toilet paper if I can take like a 20-watt bulb and put it behind it and it shines right through it without slowing it down at all.
We're counting lumens now.
We're lumens, candle power.
Yeah, exactly.
Lumens and candle power. Like some of the stuff you hold up, you could literally read through it. No problem in dim lighting. So you shouldn't be able to shine light through it.
You're saying more regulations here in California.
More regulations just when it has to do with toilet paper. All right.
Here's some news. Before the break, you said that it's going to take a fire in order to roll back some of these regulations.
Or a war.
Yeah. Well, Gavin Newsom issues executive order to streamline rebuilding after fires. It suspends regulations under the California Environmental Quality Act to allow people to rebuild.
This? Has anyone thought about this? We're going to need tons of tradesmen.
Yeah.
Tons of drywallers, tons of framers, foundation guys.
Rebar, welders. This it's
gonna be, well,
because I think people are going to build concrete structures now.
Yeah. So when you build with steel, you bolt it together and you weld it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we need tons of trades guys. Where are those guys going to live?
Right.
Like, where are they living? We don't have enough housing for us now. Then you have all these people that are out of a house, and now you are going to need an army of tradespeople. Like, they're going to need barracks or something for these people because, now it's like, hey, a good drywall guy? Yeah, but he's booked up, for a few months. You won't be able to get him until March or so, whatever it is. Imagine that times 20,000 structures.
This is going to be Winnebagos all down PCH.
Yes. I mean, we're going to need tons of trades guys and where they're coming from, Mexico mainly, but where are they working? Oh my God, we're going to need so many Mexicans.
Yeah, there's only so many Motel 6s.
So the thing is the people here who do masonry are 100% Hispanic, 100%. All the stucco guys, all the concrete guys, the forming guys, the finishing guys, all of these guys, it's all Hispanic, 100%. So we're going to need like a stucco army coming in across the border, and we're going to have to figure something out.
Give them H-1B visas. There you go.
Yeah, like we do with the guys who come in seasonally and pick, avocados or whatever it is. Like they're going to have to come in, and there's going to be an army of these stucco
That's
guys.
an interesting twist on the new administration because they're going to have to accept, we do need some immigrants.
And there is no drones or mechanized stucco. It's like mix it up, spread it out.
It's in
army
the early
guys,
stages, but they have the 3D printed, but it's kind of
the 3D printing is interesting because I've looked into it a little, and with the 3D printing is sort of actually I don't know why, but I was thinking about this the other day. But when I took ceramics, we had this big thing that looked like a big handled orange juice maker, industrial size, where you put the hair and you pull the, big, and it was called the extruder. And the extruder, you put a lump of clay in it, and you pull the thing down, and a snake of clay would come out, and then you'd make a coil pot out of it. That's what the 3D stuff does. It goes along and makes an inner and an outer out of like lightweight cement, concrete. Cement is concrete. Concrete is cement with aggregate in it, with rocks in it, you know. But it do like an inner and an outer, and it would just keep going on top, like toothpaste on top of toothpaste. It's going, just building up. The inner part would be hollow. It would stop where like windows were going and stuff, or they would form it out where windows were going, then it would go above and so on and so forth. But it's fast, but those also, everything is kind of radius with those things. They don't do sharp 90-degree angles. They just keep
Circular.
going in a circle and a semicircle and sort of serpentine. So it's kind of, everything's got like a soft edge to it, which is cool and modern, but it's not also how
not everyone
wants that. So there's going to be so much. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the Chinese word for crisis and opportunity is the same.
Oh. Yeah. We're also going to need to like bust open some cement factories and stuff. Like we're going to need materials, like tons.
It's going to be like a countrywide effort to rebuild Malibu, Palisades, and wherever else goes.
Mm-hmm. I should slide back into the trades.
Maybe starting. Yeah, the Newsom also extended a 2024 tax return filing deadline until October by people for people impacted by the fires. Yeah. Also, up there in this kind of news, LA millionaires shell out $2,000 an hour for private firefighters as the overwhelmed city abandons neighborhoods to the flames.
Yeah. Listen, we got LAPD, and then there's private security. Like, I don't know. The cops are there. The cops are there to keep the citizens safe. But if you're a high net worth individual and you don't feel that safe, then you pay somebody to make you feel safe. I don't know if the city's doing their job or not, but that's what you want. And I feel the same way about this kind of stuff. Like, why not?
Yeah, this is just capitalism.
Plus, the city is piss poor doing stuff, whether it's you not getting your Rolex stolen out front of a restaurant or your house not burned down. I think we've figured out that they do a pretty shitty job at their job, so you're going to have to farm out others to do it. Well, I don't know. What's the difference between this and private school? Half these people, 85% of these people's kids go to a private school because the LA Unified School District sucks.
Well, I think the backlash is coming from the people. See, what's happening here, it seems like igniting sort of a class warfare, and everyone views themselves as fighting against the government by saying, oh, you're getting special treatment because you can afford to do what the government can't. And that's
I know people do that all the time. They go, why should you get whatever, fill in the blank? When you have money, you have a safer life.
Yeah.
You drive a newer car.
Yeah.
The newer car is safer than the older car.